Hello everybody, Keith here again, and today I'm going to do the What's in Bloom and Spike for February 2024, and the first one I'm going to do is just out of shot down here, and it's one of my Ristrepias. Ristrepias don't do ever such a lot for me, or with me. I can't do a lot with Ristrepias, it's probably a better way of putting it. But this, as you can see, is Cuprea, and we've got two flowers on it. We've got a new growth coming, so I think that I'm well pleased with that. I need to repot it. None of these have been repotted for too long. It's one of the difficulties though, when you've got them in a terrarium, it's really quite difficult to judge, because you tend to leave them sealed, and how do you know whether anything needs doing or not? You tend to lose track, and I've definitely lost track of when they were last done. I have to go and have a ferret through my my old videos, but I bet it's quite a long time. But I better do that while it's still alive. One last look at my fowl. This is Mordii Femma to be precise. It's had 3 flowers on this year. We've got new growth coming up, which is nice. Yeah, we've got a couple of new growths coming that I can see just looking down into it. So I think this is doing okay. I'm not entirely sure whether to have it out of the pot and just have a look, just to see you know, what's happening underneath, because I think there are things that I need to be aware of, but at the moment we seem to have at least 3 new growths coming. But it's in that Westland compost with fine bark and ceramics. I mean, ceramics is fine, but the fine bark tends to have a lot of dust in it. When I first started buying Westland, it was much better, very much better, and you didn't have a problem with fines. But the last 3 or 4 years perhaps, in my experience at least, you tend to end up with enough fines that over a period of time, when you water them, it washes all the fines down. You end up with a layer at the bottom of the pot that just clogs everything up, and it just gets too damp for too long. And it's not the kind of thing that you can really pre-soak. So I'm moving away from it, except for those where I think they're particularly suited to it. There are a few, but I'm now moving towards using different sized barks and perlite. That seems to work pretty well. If I have to, I will use moss, but again, moss for me causes more problems than it cures, so I'd rather not if I can help it. This is Mini Mark, which has got a spike on it, but I have struggled really for the last 2 years, I think, with mealybugs, particularly on the fowls, and this has been no exception. This one really did take a hammering, and it tends to throw these spikes horizontal rather than vertical. And when I moved this the other day, it was absolutely covered in mealybugs underneath where you couldn't really see it. So it's had another spraying. It is throwing roots, so it's trying to keep going. It did try to put a cakey out, but that's disappeared. So I don't know. Will I keep it? I think it's in the lap of the gods at the moment. Maybe in slightly too big a pot. I might get it out of the pot, although there are roots right the way down to the bottom of this pot, but I don't know. I'm very much in two minds about that one. One that just keeps going and going and going. This is one that I bought as a no ID. Oh goodness only knows how long ago now. The place we went to, which no longer exists, it had a big selection of orchids at the time. The only thing I knew about dealing with was these. They were doing, I think it was 3 for £10. And I bought 3, I gave one to my daughter and I kept the other 2. And they were absolutely infested with mealybugs. And just as I've had over the last 2 years, I had real problems. I lost one. They had the growing point out the top of it and it just died. Got stem rot and away it went. This one did pull round. Grew very well. Then I wasn't feeding it enough, I believe. I've told you this story many times before, I think, where it flowered like mad one year and then stopped, and it chucked leaves and it really went downhill. And it was a very big orchid. I mean, you can see how big these leaves are coming back into. But it's taken years to recover. I bet I've had this probably 7 or 8 years at least, if not a bit longer than that. And it's still not back to what it was 5 years ago. I don't think it's mealybugs with this, I think it's more likely to be thrips. This is the species nobile, this is albiflorum. Where are we? Try and get it where you can see it's a very pretty flower. It's basically white petals and a purple throat. There's a virginale which is completely white, which I've got, which hasn't flowered. I think this is thrips. They never opened properly, didn't look right. Seems to be doing okay. It's ready for a repot. It was done 2 years ago, but we've got nubs showing all over. I think most of them are going to turn into cakeys, but we have got signs that it's still trying. So I'm good. This is one I don't want to lose. But like all nobile types, it's a great big straggly thing that they're difficult to look after. Not in terms of care. In terms of care, they're pretty easy, but they're big. Most of them get big, and that's the downside to them. They just get big and unwieldy. Another fowl. This one was in flower last month. This is Pink Clouds. Similar in colour, as I've said before, to Pink Twilight. I don't know what you call it. The end of the lip, where it's got a couple of fingers, that's different to Pink Twilight, and the flowers are smaller. I don't think you can see it on that, but that actually pokes out from underneath the flower a little bit further. Got this as a seedling from the East Midlands Orchid Society for next to nothing, and it's ticking along, not showing any sign of new growth yet, but it's flowering and I keep feeding it, and we're doing okay. Right, an unusual one. I've only got one of these. This is my epidendrum. It's another big rather straggly, scruffy plant because it tends to throw cakeys, so there's a load of exposed roots here. They are, again, another big unwieldy thing. I believe these are a member of the Cattleya family. But this is probably orange ballerina. Not as big as some radicans gets, but at the moment I've only got one spike. I think there's another one coming, but it's too soon. There's a few new growths that are shooting up and starting to show signs of doing okay, but I've got older growths which are fading fast. So again, this was done about 15 months ago. I think it's probably getting ready for another go. But they are bizarre plants. I mean, it's even chucking a cakey all the way up here. This is one that flowered last year. And I trimmed the spike off and lo and behold, straight off the side, little cakey. Again, absolute doddle to look after. Just keep them on the moist side, considering they are, as I believe, in the Cattleya family, they don't like to get as dry as cats, as I see it. I think again we'll see a last goodbye to this. This is White Lady, which I've got from Spiceotic Plants at our show last year. A small plant with large white flowers that throw double heads on one spike. And this, as I've said before, to me is an example of the plant being temperature tolerant, the flowers being less temperature tolerant. This is growing fine, it's putting new growths up, no problem. But all the spikes, it had 3 that were developed, had 2 stems on, nothing. There was actually a new one just showing, and that just blasted. So this will grow in low temperatures, it won't flower in lower temperatures, and by lower temperatures we're talking about 14, 15, so a little bit warmer than some, for the flowers' sake and not for the plant. Interesting that, I think. I mean, it came in flower. I don't know how long they'd had it, but it may be interesting to see what its flowering season actually is, and whether next year, hopefully, it will flower at a slightly different time, and we'll be able to see if the temperature is quite so critical. Right, Cattleya types. Don't know how well you're going to see this. It's tricky. This is Epilalio Cattleya Circus Lady Orange. Folks, yeah, I think they're there, I think. I forget where I bought this now. Or is that one of those that I can't remember? I'd have to go back and look it up. But I got it as an orange one. I like orange cats. My daughter's bought me 2. The Xingming Beauty, which is in flower last month and has gone over, and another one, I forget what that was, and that one just didn't do any good. It wasn't very clever when it arrived, and it just never got anywhere. So I bought this as a replacement. Now, it lived in here all the time. It seemed to be absolutely happy. It put a new growth up, grew to a reasonable size, and then it put a sheath up, and I thought, oh great, here we go. And and then everything stopped. Absolutely nothing happened. So I tried it on the kitchen windowsill, that didn't do any good. So in the end, it's been on the bathroom windowsill where it's a bit warmer and a bit more humid. And what happened then was this cane thickened up quite noticeably. But I was very pleased, and I said, I don't know how well you're going to see it because it's not very easy at all. But that's the spike, the sheath I mean, and I don't know whether you can see it, but there is, just emerging through the split in the spike, there is a spike with multiple flower heads on it. So that's an absolutely wonderful surprise. Does seem like, unlike some other orchids, like Oncidium types, especially the old Odontoglossum types, they really don't like me at all. I can't grow Coleogenes. It's funny how some people can grow one thing, some people can't. I mean, I can't grow Coleogenes. I know other people in the area through the East Midlands Orchid Society, and they grow like weeds for them. But then again, I know people in the same orchid society that can't grow a Phalaenopsis to save their life. And you just think, we must be doing something wrong, but don't know what it is. One I'm going to be sad to see go. I don't know what's going to happen with this. This is one which I've had for a few years. You'll have seen this in flower 2 or 3 times before. It's the yellow, orange, green Phalaenopsis which I got from Marks and Spencer's in Salisbury when we went down south for the Bournemouth Society big anniversary show. I bought it because I wanted the glass jar. This was a free gift, if you like. Because daft as it sounded, it was cheaper to buy an orchid in a glass jar than buy the same glass jar off the shelf. Again, I had a lot of problems with mealybugs this year, and this is quite clearly a terminal spike. It's not showing any signs of putting a cake out. It is putting roots out still, so we can only wait and see. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully it won't be the last time we ever see this thing in flower, because in terms of the rest of it, if it wasn't growing this, I'd be very happy because we've got roots. There's roots all the way down to the bottom of the pot, and it seems well otherwise, but obviously the mealybugs have got into it and damaged the growing tip. One that quite literally started to open today. There it is. Let me zoom it in so you can see a bit better. That's Phalaenopsis mannii. Very, very easy orchid to grow. It's got 2 spikes. That one's already up. There's another one coming up here. Really is easy to grow. Lots of roots on it. So no sign of a new leaf yet, but perhaps it'll wait until it's flowered. But nevertheless, it's looking good. How are we doing it? No, it was repotted about 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, so it doesn't need doing again yet. But yeah, a species fowl, mannii and equestris are the 2 species I've got. They're easy. Just don't worry about it. They are dead easy. You treat them like any other Phalaenopsis, and you won't go far wrong. Right, getting towards the end of it at last. This one is not the full-blown Dendrobium nobile. This is Dendrobium Lady Coleman, which actually doesn't have a lot of nobly in it. I've had these a few years, I've got two of them, they're both in flower, but the other one's done better than this one, but it's too much of a lump to get out of the rack. It was bred by Coleman of the Coleman's Mustard Empire about 1900, and it was named Lady Coleman after his wife. Said with the others, noble A types, very easy to look after, don't need a lot of looking after in terms of getting them to grow. Getting to flowers a bit more of a pain, because you've got to do something that I find difficult, which is keep the light levels high and the temperatures down. And of course in this country, if you're going to use natural light as I do, that isn't going to happen. So they will usually flower, but not terribly well. But they do flower every year without fail. I've had this one for a few years now. I got it from a fellow member of the Orchid Society, and for a lot of mine. This is, well, it was being, hang on a minute, let's try and zoom it in again, you see, to make it easy to see things. There we go. This is, it was being sold off as Dendrobium akazukin, A-K-A-Z-U-K-I-N. I don't think it is, or at least if it is, I don't know what it might be, because the one that's down as Dendrobium akazukin doesn't look like it, so I'm not sure what it is, but it's a very pretty noble type. It's grown very well, but it's way overdue for a repot. It's nearly out of the pot, so when that's finished flowering, I'll have to have a good coat of looking at, as we used to say. And we couldn't have a flowering season, of course, without this one. This is the ever monstrous pink twilight, and you know the story of this one. I got this in 2017 at the Tatton Park Flower Show. It was being used as a demo by Lawrence Hobbs. He was doing repotting. It was out of flower, and I helped him clear up. Had a chat with him while he was doing it, and in the end he just said, "Do you want this?" Well, yeah, okay, how much? He said, no, you can have it, it's no good to you. I'm only going to take it back, and if I've got to take it back and I can't sell it, I'll probably just bin it anyway. So I thought, okay, I'll have some of that then. Never realised what a monster it is. It always grows these colossal spikes. And the other thing it tends to do, which is very difficult to stop, you can see I tried with this one, which is the primary spike, is to strap it to a stake and try and train it up it. You only have to go away for a weekend and it'll bend. And the stem is quite thick, and it is woodify a word, stiffens perhaps is better. After only a day or so. So once it's bent, that's it. I've had it. I've tried doing all sorts with it. In the end, I've just decided to let it ramble. It seems perfectly happy doing what it's doing. Just lives in here all year round. It used to live on a windowsill, being treated as people tell you that phalaenopsis need to be treated. But it was a case of kill or cure, I think, because it was just too big. If it was going to die, I was going to pass it on through the East Midlands Orchid Society. As it is, it seems perfectly happy, thank you very much. Looks like that's going to need a spray for the dreaded beasts. Right. This is a newbie. This is Laeliocattleya Gaiety Flambeau crossed with Mossy Eye. Got this cheap. One of our members was distributing the collection that she'd got for somebody who died who got a big collection, and the family weren't interested in the orchids, so these were being passed on, and I got this and another one for not a lot of money. This one was in good condition. The other one I think will come round. It's starting to show signs of putting the new growth up. If it does that and we get some roots, then we're all right, but at the moment it's struggling for roots. But this one very quickly put up this new growth. Great big chunky thing, perhaps not quite as big as the others, but a good solid chunky cane, and it's now put a sheath up. There's nothing inside the sheath as yet, although there's a dark spot right at the very base, but I'm not holding my breath. I thought this was a leaf because some of them are bifoliate. In fact, quite a lot of it's bifoliate, but this one unifoliate, and there's a couple of unifoliate ones over here as well. So it's obviously part of its heritage that it doesn't quite know what it's doing. Oh, it looks like I've got another node ready to burst off this same base there. This one's putting roots out and down. So I got this towards the end of last year, repotted it, grown well, and hopefully we're going to see flowers. Because I've no idea what this one's going to look like. That'll be great. But again, that's just sitting here in the conservatory. I've actually noticed that a lot of the plants are starting to do things now. It's not so much the temperature, because the temperatures today, yes, it's become almost a beautiful winter's day out there today. It wasn't overnight, it chucked it down overnight. But today, it's this afternoon, I went through this morning, it was lovely. Went for a nice walk, and then this afternoon it's just absolutely gorgeous. I wish I was on my motorbike going for miles and miles and miles, but I'm still chasing my tail trying to catch up with everything, which is why my videos have been noticeable by their absence, shall we say. Okay. Just for a complete change of subject and going wildly off topic, because I'm just really chuffed with this. This is a Lycaste. I got this at the same East Midlands meeting that we got. I got that Cattleya I've just shown you, and this is either a cutting from or the remains of a plant that was given an award of merit by the RHS at some point, and this is Lycaste Cassiopeia Wild Peach. Never had one before, don't know anything at all about them. Repotted it with probably too much perlite, but nevertheless these things are supposed to like it moist, and it's certainly doing that. It sat there, hasn't done anything, the leaves have stayed up. And I was poddling around preparing for this video today. Moved this, happened to look at it, and I don't know how well you're going to see this. zooming in help? I don't know. Ah. Just there, by the end of my fingertip, that is a new growth. So I don't know how clear it is. So I'm chuffed to bits about that. Don't think it's a flower spot. I don't know how these things flower, to be honest. No idea how these things flower. But if that's a new growth, at least it means I've got something right with the plant that I know nothing at all about. So, I hope that's not bored you too much. And it's been worth waiting for. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.